Hi everyone, this is Briley and my dad coming back at you with another super cool recipe we created years ago. We will be making cold smoked venison, pressure cooked in hot beef au jus. This is a guarantee to please anyone who tries it. It's like eating jerky, but it melts in your mouth as it's super juicy and super tender.
All right, Briley, what are we up to?
We have some tender quick, which we're going to add into 12 pounds of meat.
Okay, so we have 12 pounds of meat. We always do usually a half a tablespoon per pound. However, with us putting some canning salts in the jars, we're going to kick that back a little less. So we're only going to do 5 tablespoons as if it was 10 pounds of meat. Okay? Sprinkle it on there. We're going to mix all this up really good. If you've not used Tender Quick, this stuff is a staple in our home for any of our smoked meats. It is a curing agent, not that you need it because we're pressure canning, but it adds just enough salt flavor. It works through all that meat. Is that 5?
Yep.
All right, so now we're going to get to our hickory seasonings. We have 3 different hickory seasonings that we like to use, and we have them all mixed together, and she's going to mix those in there. Go ahead, Barley, and I'll tell you when to stop. Just take it lightly, spread it all around the top. We get ours typically from Kent Butcher Supply down near the Grand Rapids area. There's others on the market. LEM's another great company. That's good right there, B. All right. Now we're going to mix them all up. Mix it all up. And that venison. Now here's another thing. A lot of people will talk about with pressure canned venison that you can use tougher cuts, which you can, but we're still pretty fussy about what we use. So as you'll look there, you'll see our venison is nothing but great cuts, and there's no tallow, there's no silver skin. It's just nothing but pure protein, and we're going to mix all this up. We're going to let it set for about 2 days in the refrigerator, and that meat will actually draw that cure in all the way through the meat. We'll be able to show that in a couple days from now when we go to cold smoke this. How's it looking?
Pretty good.
Keep mixing it up, and we'll get back to everyone shortly. All right, Briley, what are we doing now?
Wood chips, getting ready to cold smoke our venison.
All right, so we're going to get these little hot spots going, and as soon as we get those little coals going in those wood chips, we put it inside the smoker, and it will actually snuff itself out, and it's just going to sit there and slowly burn. And it's going to add a lot of smoke to that venison, but it's not going to add any kind of heat where it's going to cook it. And we're going to do this for a couple hours. It'll give it a lot of good smoke, and then we'll show you the next steps afterwards. All right, Barley, we got smoke coming out of the smoker, and I thought, you know what, maybe it'd be good if we did show them what it looks like when it's snuffed out in there. As they can see, smoke's just a billowing. All right, why don't you shut that up for me? Thank you, honey. All right, we're going to let it go, and we'll be canning next. All right, what'd you just do, Barley?
We put a little bit of vinegar into our pressure cooker.
And why'd you do that?
It helps with the cleanup and remove water spots in the jars.
Okay, great. Now what are we doing?
We're going to fill up our water to the first line that you should have in your pressure cooker.
And what is that first line? What does that add up to be about?
3 quarts.
3 quarts of water. So, all right, you're going to fill that up to that line. All right, now what are you doing, Briley?
We are making our au jus base.
Okay, what are you using there?
Gordon Foods au jus base.
Okay, so we use this au jus base in the water here. You want to go by taste, but keep in mind that you do have that meat that's already been cured with the Tender Quick, so it's going to have a salty taste. And so between the cure that we've already put in the meat and then this au jus, we don't want to make it too salty, and then we will avoid using any canning salts. A lot of times people use canning salts when they pressure can foods. It's simply to add some flavor. We are already doing that by using this super cool au jus base, and it'll make a nice gravy, and that will go in with the meat. And then, like I said before, this meat, you're going to see a little bit has been smoked, and it's cured, and we'll pack our jars. Look at all of that red meat. Smell it. What's it smell like?
Jerky.
It smells like jerky, isn't it? And that's just raw, cold smoked venison. And what are you doing here?
We're cutting it into 1-inch squares.
Look at the company you have here. I wonder why they're hanging out here. So 1-inch squares, we're going to cut all these up, and then we'll be packing these in jars, right?
Yep.
And because we're pressure canning this, we don't really worry about what direction you're cutting with or against the grain. It's going to be in 1-inch chunks, and it'll all work out perfectly. Look at all that red meat. That's good old mule deer. It's been cold smoked, cut into 1-inch cubes. And I mean, that is just prime time stuff. No tallow, silver skin. She's packing these jars, and normally we use big mouth jars, and we use quart-sized jars for our own use at home. But we plan to give some of these away to friends. We got a lot of friends that like these. We have a good family friend named Rhonda who absolutely loves our cold smoked pressure can venison. So we'll be giving her some jars. And so we're using these little pint jars, but they're regular sized lids on them, or openings. And so it makes it a little bit tougher, but with Briley's smaller hands, she's making good work of this. She's doing a good job with it. We're going to pack those down, and then we'll show you when we put the au jus in shortly. All right, we're pouring the hot au jus in these jars, and you can see that blue divider. It's almost like a measuring cup, if you will, and sticks in the throat of the jars, and she'll know how high to fill that up without getting it too high. If you can look real close to these jars, you see those 3 rings. We don't want to get above that bottom ring. So we don't want to get above that. So that's what she's doing. She let it settle, and now she's going to go to the next one. And then ultimately, we'll actually take paper towels and wipe the inside of these jars just to make sure that we don't have any au jus or anything else that's sitting up on that rim where we're going to want to get a really good seal. Hey, we're getting closer. She's putting lids on right now, and then we'll screw the caps. Something that's very important is these lids are super cheap to buy, but they're a one and done. So once you pressure can with them, they're going to get a really good seal. But other than just putting it back on the jar, if you want to put it in the fridge, let's say you don't eat the whole jar the first time you open it, it's going to be great for that. But then afterwards, throw this part right here, throw that away. Buy new ones for the next time that you want to go back and pressure can. Now these jars, clean them up really well. You can keep using them and using them and using them. That's the really cool part about this. And all great parts of preservation. All right, Bradley, go on and cinch it tight. Squeeze it tight till it, you got it?
Yep.
All right, now we are, as they say, cooking with gas, although we got an electric stove here. We're going to start to build pressure, so we're not going to move this. Okay, leave it right there. These are pint jars, so we need to get this pressure up to about 11 pounds of pressure. So it's going to take a little bit, and once it does, you're going to hear this little metal valve, if you will, pop up. And then we're going to watch that pressure build, and once it gets to about 11, we got to manage our heat and keep it at 11 for 75 minutes. This is a crucial part. 75 minutes with pint jars, 90 minutes with quart jars. So 75 minutes, we'll set the timer once we build pressure. All right, now we're going to take this off the heat, slide it off the heat, and just let the pressure drop. We will not open this until all the pressure is dropped out of this unit. As you can see, the air vent cover lock has dropped, and we have 0 pressure. So we are going to pop the lid on this. All right, Riley. Pulling them on out very carefully. And what's going to be so cool, I don't know if you can see this up close, this is going to sit here and bubble for quite some time. And then eventually you're going to hear these lids pop like popcorn. And when those things pop like that, they're sealed. All right, Briley, we're down the very last step. Get to taste this and see what you think of it.
That's good.
What's it taste like?
A better version of jerky.
Was it soft?
Yeah.
Tender? Juicy though, just like we said it would be. And to think about this is all preserved, so you can put this away. We'll probably put this down in our basement. We have like a little cellar area where we put all of our preserved foods, and this is something we can take to parties, or you can make stroganoff with it. There's so many different things you can do with it, and maybe, just maybe, our good friend Chef Roy Hall, maybe he would do an additional segment to this, and we could show how he does that pate. And so we'll have to see if he'll do that with us. All right, what do you think? Signing out?
Yep.
All right.